Cool. Yeah, recording now. Good. Welcome back to fucking don't pay attention to this being 110. I didn't change it because we're pretty much going over the same thing this week. But it is Bionicle Masterclass Learning Time again this week. We're on our 11th episode, so it'll be 111.
But that says 10.
Yeah, well, you have glasses, so I'm going to say you can't read.
Last one I saw was 9, so I think this makes sense.
Yeah. Fair. At this rate, it's just a constant rotating of which two people are we going to get here this week. So,
We weren't prepared.
we were in 2000. So we're working back through 2008 to do a very quick recap of what we went over last time. 2008 is hyperdense. We were like, man, look at all these books. There's 3 books. There's like 3 books and like 5 comics, but the comics are pretty much interlaced within the books. And then there's just a boatload of short stories and serial stories hidden behind the mass collective of all these different characters that are going to be important and are just kind of hanging around here. And including this dude right here, which we haven't talked about him yet, which for the super observant who may have looked at his mask.
It looks like a mask of light.
Oh, it does look like a mask of light. That is correct, Jason. That's because this is the new Takanuva. Remember I said that his armor went from white and gold to white and gray? Yeah, him a big boy now. Him a big boy.
Like nothing happened to him?
Oh, no. Okay, so this is what you missed. A lot of shit happened to him. Dude, there's a lot of shit last week. So, that's going to be your homework to look back up on there. But let's just give a summary and a kind of recap what happened last week. We talked about how Book 10 is predominantly just half the book is the Toa Nuva that are in the swamp, doing swamp things, trying to find these keystones, fighting some of these Makuta. The 3 Makuta who were down there, Krika, Gorast, and Bittel, also kind of fell into some mutagenic water while they were down in the swamp, so now they're mutated and they look like creepy bug dudes. Like Makuta Gorast here.
They're blind, right?
No. The bat ones. The ones that are in the sky. Antras.
Because of light.
Because of the Mask of Light just going nuclear. Or Mask of Life. Those are Antras, Chirox, and Vampra. Seen over here. Mutran, who was up there with them, was just hiding out in his lab so he didn't get blinded. So he still has his son. Also, we do have Kopaka and Solek on his back this week. As well as some new faces, some returning faces, Toatahu, Nuva, Onua Nuva here. I still don't have Gali Nuva, or, I know, Womp Womp, or Makuta Bittel or Krika, and man, it's just not looking like I'm going to get to them in time. But anyway, so, they're doing that stuff there, fighting the Makuta, working together, the Fantoka. We'll divide the teams between Fantoka and Mystica when I'm just talking about the Toa, just makes it easier to talk about them as collectives. Fantoka, Toa, we're fighting the Fantoka Makuta. Makuta Icarax shows back up. The Toa ignite him, devolves him back into a being made of bioorganic muscle and flesh, causing him to basically be in a suit of armor that is 8 times too small and suffer horrible, horrible pain. Besides that, they found out that there's this giant metal sphere in the swamp. We're probably going to have to do something with that. Probably something with the keystones there. And we also learned that the Bohrok are just Matoran. They are just Avmatoran that upon fulfilling their destiny just metamorphosize into Bohrok. That was I know. That was the thing we learned, is just all, like, there was like 13 Matoran just came and took the Toa Nuva away and were like, hey guys, listen, it's crazy here, you need these keystones, here's a keystone, that's gonna need to get to the Kodrex, the giant sphere thing, this is a keystone, and then the 13 Matoran just, well 12 of them at least, turned into Bohrok, and then were teleported away to be put into a Bohrok hive, and the other 13th one was like, yeah, no, that's just the that destiny of Avmatoran, like, if you choose your destiny, you become a Bohrok, so don't cry for them. And all the Toa were like, this raises a lot of concerns for us seeing how many Bohrok we have destroyed.
Man, imagine seeing other Matoran have destinies to become Toa, like these awesome superhero creatures with elemental powers, and you become a roly-poly.
Oh no. Jesus H. And And then the other half of Swamp of Secrets is Toa Hell. So Takanuva got attacked by a Shadow Leech. He's lost half of his light energies. Now he has Shadow and Light energy. And he's been commissioned by Toa Hellrix to go and travel to Cardinui after having one of those face suckers put on his face so he could relive past events. And he saw like the origin story of the Toa Mata, how they came into being 100,000 years ago, how they trained with Hydraxin to do stuff, and that their goal was, or they were in Cardinui before when the universe was first coming together and had to protect Matoran from lightning snakes. And how they ended up getting in their canisters and all that. And that once Motunui awakens, there's going to be huge lightning storms in Cardinui. It's going to wipe out everything. And they don't know that because their memories are gone. And so Hellrix is like, Takanuva, you need to go over there and you need to go and tell them these things. And I forgot to mention that there was one other person in the room when that happened, and that was a Toa of Sonic named Krakua. Yes, the very same Krakua who from way back in like year 3 won like the fan submission contest where they're like, you can make Toa, make him into the story. Yeah, no, he's back in the story now. And they're like, yeah, no, he was a Matoran and we had him fulfill his destiny, so now he's a Toa for reasons. And Bertaka shows back up because he's working with the Order of Motunui now, even though he's not quite amphibious. I mean, he's got a bowl of water basically around his head because it really is just like watching SpongeBob SquarePants anytime anyone entered Sandy's house and they'll have to wear just like fish bowls on their head. It's pretty much that. It really is. And so he opened up a portal and Takanuva went through it, and it didn't go so well because Bertaka's mask is kind of broken and damaged a little bit, so that began Takua's time-traveling misadventures through time and space, in which he fell through several different dimensions, some cooler than others.
Some very not.
Some very not cool. Some very not peak 100. So like I said, for 2008, you can pretty much divide the entire story year between whatever the hell the Toa-Nuva were doing, Takanuva's time-traveling misadventures through time and space, and whatever the Order of Motunui was having people do. So we're going to pick up that, because we started off with Federation, we left off last time with Federation of Fear, which is basically the Suicide Squad of the Bionicle universe storyline. Because we'll start talking about what the Order of Motunui has been kind of doing in the background while everything has been going on. So, to kind of catch us back up, Vizon, Rudaka, Karpar, Taxidox, a Makuta named Spiraya, and I think that was it, are all in this cage. Brutaka shows up and goes, hey, come with me if you want to live. But also, you owe us a favor, and if you do, we'll give you your freedom. Vizon is just crazy, and this entire story is just about him being crazy best boy. And so, because Brutaka is just like, we just need a team of people who no one will care if we die. So, good job, everybody. Everybody, like, the universe has decided that you guys are generally the most hated people, and no one would care if you die. So that is why we're going on this mission. So they get to the island of Stelt, as I said before, where they're going to barter Rudaka in exchange for a big-ass boat that they need to get. Because whatever their mission is, Brutaka says they need a big-ass boat, because they need to go to this southern chain of islands. Most people have never been that far south before, so no one really knows what it is. So the merchant's like, hey, you know, so you're basically saying that you need a boat that is probably my best boat, and that I'll probably never see again. What do you got? And they're like, well, we got the girl who killed King Simperak. And he's like, bet. And of course, Brutaka's like, well, here's the thing. No one will believe you that you just happened to capture her by yourself. So what we'll do is we'll just kind of rough you up a little bit and put some dings and dents into your armor, and you'll be fine. And then they'll be good. And he's like, all right, cool, just once really on the noggin here, but nothing too serious. And Brutaka's like, you won't even feel a thing. Of course, Vizon jumping in and goes, again! Because Vizon was just going to kill him. But no, Brutaka smacks him on the head, knocks it down, and our crew has now acquired a boat. Sheep Captain. So, the crew is sailing into the ocean. When they finally go, okay guys, what is the mission? What are we going to be doing? And Brutaka goes, all right, here is the mission. We are going to an island way down south, and we are going to rescue a Makuta who's imprisoned there named, why is the name suddenly eluding me? Miserex. Makuta Miserex, the original leader of the Brotherhood of Makuta. Thought dead, actually just imprisoned somewhere. Very sneaky. So, obviously, Makuta Pariah has a huge fucking issue with this. And is like, no way, man. I helped imprison that dude. And he's gonna kill me. And since you weren't here last week, Makuta Pariah is the reason that the Skakti are so mentally unstable. And are also just like, have weird elemental powers. Because we talked about that basically, long ago after the Matoran Civil War, they just placed a bunch of Makuta on different islands to be like the island's guardians, essentially. Pariah was the guardian of that island, but also took it as a chance to just mutate and experiment with the local populace, and fucked them up so bad that the other Makuta were like, yeah man, we can't vibe anymore. Yours is just too much, man. And, oof, that was a big old oof for that. So, Vertaka was like, alright, look, just shut up, calm down. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go down there and free Miserex. You can be involved in this. And if you don't want to be, I'll just send a signal out that will make Brotherhood of Makuta members show up and abduct you. And he's like, fine, I will do this. So, like 2-3 days go by, they're sailing on the ocean. All of a sudden, some Zyglak are just riding on their boats. A bunch of Zyglak with a bunch of boats. It's kind of like if it was Mad Max, but water boats. So like Waterworld with Kevin Costner, but less shitty.
The pirate makes you attack.
And they're descending upon this boat where our crafty crew are. Everyone goes, oh, that's not good. Hey, anyone want to figure out what's going on here? Anybody want to help us? What's going on? We need to, turns out Makuta Pariah is using his powers over wind to kind of stop the boat from moving. He's like, yeah, no dipshits, I contacted a bunch of Zyglak, because me and Zyglak are homies. We're both outcasts, and we hate Matoran. So, we're both anti-Matoran gang, so he's like, fuck them! Yeah, he's like, look at me, I am the captain now. And, Pariah becomes the captain now. And they turn the ship around. And he immediately starts putting everyone to work on the ship. And Vertaka and everyone is just going with it, trying to figure out where they're headed to. Turns out, in the distance, is the island of Zakaz, home of the Skakti, also home of the Paraka. And they're like, why are we going there? And Pariah is like, yeah, man, the Skakti on the island of Zakaz, yeah, I messed them up really bad and mutated them and made their lives horrible and stuff, but they don't have to be so mean about stuff, so I'm going to go there with the Zyglak who hate everything, and we're going to destroy the whole place. It's going to be great, and I'm going to be the coolest. At the same time, there's a few Skakti skiffs in the water, some on the around, and some other dark hunters that are patrolling around the waters that are working with them. And all of a sudden, Taxox and Karpar kind of look into the water, and they see that there's like these eel-type beings that kind of look a lot like Elix species was. They're just swimming in the water, and they're like, huh, wonder what that could be. And all of a sudden, all these dark hunter boats just get completely destroyed! And they're just being completely blown apart and stuff, and as they get nearer and nearer to the shore, like the survivors who are managing their ways off those boats are making it onto the island, only to be immediately killed by Skakti. And, that also happens to all the Zyglak boats. Just completely destroyed. And Makuta Pariah is freaking out. He's like, what's going on? And Vertaka just takes him and smacks him on the head. And it's like, hey, dummy, you said you have friends. I have friends too. Much more powerful friends. Much more scary, powerful friends. Like those guys who just don't like anything in the water, which I can just throw you into right now, and you'll be nothing. But we're not going to do that, because we got somewhere to go. So, besides that, I was also waiting for somebody else, our last member of our party. And it is a lone dark hunter, coming up on a much smaller boat. She like front flip somersaults, does a bunch of spinning tricks, lands on the boat, and it's Lorisca, which nobody probably remembers because she showed up for like 2 scenes way back when we were talking about the Dark Hunters for the most part.
She was the one that like was having that banter with the head of the Dark
The
Hunter.
Shadow one, yes, the one with
And he
the
was like, talking about like stabbing in the back.
yeah, the one with the whole mechanical arm. Her whole thing is just knives. Yes, she is also joining us on this excursion.
So we now have rep from like all 3.
So now, we have a former member of the Brotherhood. Well, we have an actual former Makuta. We have a former member of the Brotherhood. We have 2 technically because we have Brutaka and we have Taxidox and Karpar to a lesser extent because Karpar just does whatever Taxidox says. We have Dark and technically Rudaka because Rudaka was also a member of the Brotherhood of Makuta who betrayed the Brotherhood to the Dark Hunters, who then betrayed the Dark Hunters to the Brotherhood. So she's there.
She's great at picking.
She's great. She's great at picking the winning team. Really. And then Lorisca, who's Dark Hunter. And then we have Vizong, who has been in existence for like 2 weeks. And he's just like, I don't know why I'm here. Man, and the whole time he's just muttering to himself and talking to them like, dude, would it be crazy if I just took over this whole boat right now? And they're like, Vizong, with what powers? And he's like, you don't know my powers. You don't know my powers. And he's like, and they're like, no, what powers do you have? Seriously. And he's like, I actually don't think I have any powers. And they're like, you're right, you don't have any powers. He's like, that's what I want you to think.
He's the chaotic engineer.
He is so great. And we'll get to more of his story later. So the crew continues to travel down because they're going further south, and they make their way to an island. Because Brutaka's like, all right, this is the hard part. Because, and they're like, well, what are we doing here? They're like, all right, so earlier on, we had some orders of a member of Matanui who got a huge weapons order from Zaya. And they were going to bring it to a location, and then they were attacked by a Makuta. Botar, one of them, was killed, and Trinuma, the other member, barely managed to get it. So Trinuma just hid the weapons somewhere, like just to quick get it out of the way, so he could retreat and make sure no one was following him. This is the island there. Everybody steps on the island and immediately realizes that something is very, very wrong. It's like they feel like there's just this sensation of death and rot and decay just permeating from this barren, like, sandy island in itself. And nobody wants to, and they're like, maybe we should just get back on the ship. Nope! Giant rocks start forming up all around them and kind of leading them closer to the center of the island, and they're like, oh no, we fucked up. We fucked up bad. What island is this? Does anybody know what island this is? Makuta Sparaya actually knows and is like, yeah, no, I just realized what island this is, and we are donezo. We're done. This is the island of Trenkron. Makuta Mutran went there last time, and he went nuts after being here. So I don't know what's going to happen. All of our team is slowly brought into this cave. By the way, before they had gone into actually all this happened, they found some of the weapons, and Brutaka kind of equipped everyone and was like, okay, here's weapons. Don't make me regret this. So he's like, Brutaka's immediately like, Ratuka Spinner, mine. she's like, the thing that allows me to do the most damage to everything, mine. Karpar gets a giant axe. Taxidox picks up a dagger. Brutaka obviously has his twin blade swords. Sparaya gets, I don't know, it's not really important. And he goes and gives Vizon a spear. And Vizon's like, what? It doesn't have any powers? And Brutaka's like, well, yeah, because you got your own powers, right? Remember? And Vizon's like, oh yeah, I do. I do. And don't you forget it. But the entire story is just, Vizon actually has no powers. He's not attached to the Mask of Life anymore. He has actually no powers. I don't even think he has any of the laser vision or heat vision or anything. He's just this weird half-Skakti that's just insane. And so so they all have their weapons and they are kind of guarded and they're all trying to talk up a battle plan. And as they're brought in, they're like, all of a sudden they're, look at me, but a lot more ominous. And before them is described as a enormous, gigantic sphere with tentacles coming out from all angles of it, with 2 dead yellow eyes set in the center. And they're like, "What are you?" And he's like, "My name is Tren Krom. Welcome to my island. I've been stuck here for the last 100,000 years." And they're like, "Okay, well, we need to go." And he's like, "Oh, yeah, well, before you go, you're going to tell me about everything that I've missed in the last 100,000 years."
Fucking Christ.
So
It's the flashback episode.
oh man, so he starts trying to like, gribbity grab some of them.
Oh.
And he's like, "I'm going to have to invade your brain a little bit." And Portago's like, "Yeah, that's not going to work on me. I have a mental shield, so I don't think it'll happen." And you're like, "Yeah, but the girl with the dagger over there, she doesn't have any of those, so I'm just going to probe her brain a little bit." As this is going on, Karpar comes up and he's like, "Good, they're distracted. I will take my axe and hit the big ball." And goes to swing this axe at Tren Krom when a third giant yellow eye opens up, looks at him, and shoots out a laser beam and just turns him into dust. Oh, I'm sorry. No, he turns him into pure crystal, and then it turns into dust. Karpar's just dead now. And Taxodox is just sitting there like, "Well, that sure is inconvenient. But what if I could harness that power?" And so Lorisca, unfortunately, is having her entire mind probed by this, what is essentially like an eldritch abomination, like an old one, and learns the entirety of the history of the universe thus far that Tren Krom has missed out on. And we learned that Tren Krom was the original deity governing the Matoran universe, and was installed in place by the Great Beings until Matanui was made ready to be able to take over ruling and running the universe. At which point, Tren Krom was then imprisoned on this island so that Matanui would have no rivals. Did not work out so well, because in the long run, Makuda's still doing it anyway. And Tren Krom is just like, "Ooh, you guys are all awful. You guys are the worst. Seriously? I've been gone for 100,000 years, and this is the universe that you've let happen. You've brought nothing but chaos and destruction and just terror to everything." And Vizon's like, "Yeah, isn't it cool?" And he's like, "Be gone. Leave my island. I have no use for you here." And just everything recedes, and they're like, "Lorisca, you okay?" And she's like, "Nah, man, I'm not. I don't really think that matters anymore." And so they all just get on the boat and they go on. They continue on down to finally get to this island that they're trying to get to. It's this giant volcanic island of destruction? Doom? Most islands with a giant volcano at this point are those things. And they go, "All right, guys, what are we going to do here?" And Makuta Spiraya steps out onto the beach first, and everyone kind of falls behind. And the sand starts coming to life, and it starts to try and attack Spiraya. And Rudaka just Ratuka spinners and mutates the sand into mud. It just stops. And I'm like, "Okay." And Spiraya's like, "Yeah, so, yeah, no, I'm out. I'm done. No, done deal. No, this whole island." Rutaka's like, "Yeah, of course. I don't know why I didn't see this. The island is booby-trapped specifically for Makuta, because there's a Makuta imprisoned on it. Why would they not do that? Of course, the entire island is specifically booby-trapped to sense Makuta." And Spiraya's like, "Well, I guess there's just not a whole lot I can do here. I'll just stay on the boat." Rutaka's like, "No, you aren't. You're going to lead the way, because you actually have been here before, and we'll deal with anything coming towards you." And he's like, no way, there's no way. I would literally rather die." And Brutaka's like, "I'm just trying to avoid that, man. I really am, but you're kind of pulling my arm here. He's like, "Look, when we rescue Miserex, and after we defeat and destroy Pterodax, the Brotherhood of Makuta is gonna need a new leader. And what better than to be someone who was on, the main team that was working to, free the original leader to defeat the other one? Who else might be?" And Makuta Spiraya is like, "I could be the leader." And Brutaka's like, "I didn't say that. But..." So Spiraya's like, "All right, I'm in. And then I'm taking this boat and leaving. And I just would suggest that you don't try to stop me." And Brutaka's like, "Okay." So they walk their way onto the island. They walk past a bunch of booby traps. There's some weird bugs and shenanigans. They eventually all get into this deep volcanic chamber where there is a giant reptilian dragon sitting in the bottom of this chamber, just clawing out and slashing at these bugs and absorbing them with giant shadow hands. They're like, yep, that's a Makuta if I've ever seen one, all right. So they all get together and they go, all right, well, what do we do? It's like, okay, well, there's these chains there. The more it struggles, the more energy it releases, the tighter the chains get. So we just need to break the chains. And they're like, all right, well, I guess. So they make their way in, and Makuta Mizrax is like, hold up, I smell a bitch. And he's like, Spiriah, get your ass down here. Spiriah was like, ah, shit, man. Like, I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean it. I just, Pterodax made us do it. He made us do it, and I wanted to free you, and I swore I was going to do it, and he's like, didn't? And you didn't do it? You didn't come and help me free? In fact, I recall you were one of the first people to jump over to Pterodax's side when he came up with the whole thing. Spry was like, yeah, man, but I didn't mean anything by it. He's like, no, I don't mean anything by this. Shadow Hand grabs Spry and just absorbs him. And they're like, well, Bohrok-Kal's like, that sure was a thing. So he's like, what do you guys want? He's like, oh, we're here to free you, and we just want to destroy Pterodax. And Makuta Mizrax is like, that is, dude, destroying Pterodax is my entire MO at this point. That's all I want. So how do you think you're gonna be able to break me out of here? Considering that I've just been absorbing so much power and haven't been able to get out myself. Bohrok-Kal's like, we'll probably just break those chains. And Mizrax is like, won't that be probably really painful for me? So it'll cause me pain? And Bohrok-Kal's like, yeah, I wouldn't worry about it. So they get to work, just starting to just hack away at these chains that are just causing immense amount of pain into Mizrax until they finally break one, and he's able to break all the others. And this giant reptilian dragon suddenly whooshes up. Oh, before this, I forgot to mention. As they were getting stuck in one of the traps, Taxodox suspiciously just kind of disappeared, and they were all like, cheeky shit, fucking bailed out on us. And he's gonna steal the boat, isn't he? And so, Mizrax does the whole, like, Aslan and Chronicles of Narnia, is like, ride me! And they all get on this giant reptilian Makuta dragon and are flying through the air at Atreyu at high speeds, and they look down and sure as hell, like, the boat's not there anymore. Interesting. And that's pretty much the end of the Federation of Fear, because now that kind of wraps that up there. Which will bring us to the next Order of Matsumi story, Dwellers in Darkness, which sees the Toa Haga, who are now Toa again, fighting on the island of Zaya, where they have finally gotten to defeat the Kanohi Dragon and the Tatrak, and have moved them both away from the mountain that has also been heavily destroyed, just in case the mountain gets hungry and wants to try and eat either of them, which would be very bad, according to the locals. So they're kind of wrapping everything up there, and then on the horizon is a war fleet of ships. And they're like, this is very not good. This is very, very not good. What is that? And they're like, Toa Haga Gaki has a mask of clairvoyance where she can, like, see some premonitions, and she's like, hunters of darkness. And they're like, well, what does that mean? And they're like, it means dark hunters, probably. And Toei Aruni is like, cool, no time like the present to get back in the swing of things, uses his mask of quick teleportation, looks at the main ship, and immediately just, hey, look at that! We got Chris is here!
I'm here.
Hooray!
I brought snacks for no one.
Hooray!
There was a petition!
How many people signed it?
Like 3, 4?
Sorry, you need at least 200,000.
Get
But I'm here.
your foot in here, boy!
I don't know, there's so much not room.
Dude, I believe in you. Also, since you didn't bring snacks, I brought Starburst in case.
Oh, dude, thanks.
Our petition worked on him.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't even get called out for it.
You piece of shit.
Yeah.
Way to be late, Sasha.
Yeah. So, Tyree quick teleports on the main battle fleet ship, and on there it's just a boatload of Dark Hunters, really heavy Dark Hunters, and Toaruni is just like, ha! Throws his spear down, he's like, what y'all gonna do about this? And the Shadowed One comes out and he's like, look! I was contracted by someone to come and just watch over the island of Zaya for a little bit and hold it. So I've got important things to do, and I don't have time for Toa who don't know their place. And at that time, a bunch of the other Tohaga slowly make their way over there as well, and they're like, it's starting to get this confrontation where the Shadow One's like, look, I would love to kill you all. I really would. But I have to get to the island of Zaya. I'm under contract. Like, and so they're arguing back and forth because the Toa are like, yeah, we can't let you on that island. Can't really let you do that. Like, you guys are dark hunters. You can't really, or Toa, can't really do it. All of a sudden there's like a 200-foot tsunami wave just right next to them, just hovering them. And Toa Helrich just walks onto the ship and she's like, look, I heard you Dark Hunters were like the best at doing things, and if you can't do the job I need you to, I can find someone else. And the tidal wave starts lowering more, and he's like, no problems here. No problems here, Helrix. We'll get this sorted out. And Toa Iruni and Norik are like, yo, who's this chick? Like, when'd she get here? Like, oh, hey, where are you from? She's like, look, I'm from an organization you've never heard of, and one way more important than you can imagine. So I'm gonna need you to shut up for a little bit. We're doing real important things here, kid. Now go ahead and sit in the kid's corner. And Toa Iruni's just like, and so basically the outside of this is that the Tohaga are then conscripted into the Order of Montanui's forces, and because she has a job, and she's like, all right, listen, I've got a thing I need you guys to do, and it's really important. And Toa Norik is like, yeah, we're not really in the business of just taking requests from any Toa who asks us to. And Toa Norik is like, oh, good, that's really good to hear, because I wasn't making a request. You drop this tidal wave any time, we'll just kill all of you. So what's it gonna be? Toa Norik is as a note, because I guess I haven't really discussed too much about like what the Order of Montanui is. The Order of Montanui originally started 100,000 years ago as a group called the Hand of Artaka, and it was made up primarily of Toa and a bunch of other different races or species that worked together to be like the good guy force, TM, and do good guy things. Upon Montanui's introduction into the universe as their deity, the Hand of Artaka disbanded, and after it was disbanded, Toa Helrix decided that even though there was a new ruler of the universe or whatever, their group was probably still really needed, and they formed a new group known as the Order of Montanui, and recruited a bunch of prior members from the Hand of Artaka. The Toa made the distinction that there cannot be any Toa in the Hand of Artaka. I'm sorry, in the Order of Montanui, besides herself excluded, because the Order of Montanui was completely designed to do all sorts of morally gray and bad things if it was meant for the betterment of the universe. And Toa Helrix did not want to put Toa in conflict with the Toa Code, because Toa Helrix has sent a lot of people to their death, and killed a lot of people as well. And obviously, Toa Helrix considers herself Order of Montanui first, Toa, 17th. So, the Tohaga get sent to Metru Nui, where upon being into Metru Nui, they walk up to the Toamari and go, what's up, guys? They're like, whoa, who are you guys? Who are you guys here? I've never seen these Toa before. And the Tohaga are like, literally just saw you guys, when you guys were Matoran. We were little short dudes, but that's not important right now. We're Tohaga. Listen, we're being sent here on an important mission from the Order of Montanui. And they're like, Order of Montanui? Never heard of it. And they're like, well, what are you here on business? And it's like, look, we're here to do a mission. And they're like, well, what is this mission? And he's like, you're not going to like it. We've got to destroy the Colosseum. And the Toamari are like, nope, can't let you do that, bud. And immediately, all the Toamari and the Tohaga start getting into a fight. And they all start just dealing out, they're going pretty full force, because the Tohaga have to get whatever they need to be, whatever they're supposed to be doing, they have to get that done. And the Toamari just can't let them come and destroy, the iconic symbol of their city. And they don't have time to explain. As they are doing this, and, what's it called? A giant beast from the archives erupts from deep underground after there's a crack made in the Coliseum, and then all of the two Toa teams kind of decide to work together to fight the greater evil that's going on there. They defeat that. They get help. Some of the after many hours, they help the archivists get it back down into the archives, and the Toa Mario are like, no, seriously, like, what do we need to do? And like, the Haga are like, we have to look. It's like, look, we are trying to find, like, we've been sent to go and find a place that we're not even sure exists, but if it does, it is underneath the Colosseum. We are looking for Makuta Pterodax because nobody knows where he has been, and nobody knows for sure if he's dead. But if he is still out there, we believe that that is where he is, and that is where we need to go. And so the Toa Mario are just like, guys, we've seen so much shit, I just don't even want to argue right now. Okay, sure. The two Toa teams work together to effectively use their elemental powers to kind of like lift the Colosseum up and pull it apart, and so that the Toa Haga can go down in it and then put it back into place. And Toa Jala is like, man, I've never seen anything like that. And they're like, what? And they're like, Toa making their own tombstones. Because we don't even know, we probably won't see these guys again. The Toa Haga continue down into these tunnels, and as they start, they find like the tunnel they were looking for, and they keep going deeper and deeper and deeper into it. And it looks like it's just more ancient and archaic, and they start seeing some writing on some of these like walls of these tunnels and stuff, and they look at it and they're like, what is this? Is this Matoran? This is like some script I've never seen before. And even like Gaki and Pokes are like looking at it, and they're like, because they're more well versed in languages, and they're looking at it and they're like, I really can't make anything. The only thing I can make out of this is the word Bara Magna. And like, does that mean anything to you? And all of the Toa Haga just kind of look at each other and instantly know that there is nothing they have ever heard of that is Bara Magna. It's completely foreign. It's something it's an idea even completely foreign to them. Like, that's really weird. As they are, walking down this tunnel, they all of a sudden are pulled magnetically to the sides of the walls. And they're just stuck, and they hear this loud rumble, and they're like, oh no, that's not good. What could that be? And they sense and feel there is a large flow of molten protodermis gushing down this tunnel, heading right for them. So this is where we kind of have to take a kind of mid-stop for this story and focus on another one to kind of talk some in between events. So we're going to talk about Destiny War. This is the Destiny War, effectively, is what it is. This is where the Order of Matanui has decided to finally come out of hiding, make their presence officially known, and basically recruit anyone and everyone they can to fight the Brotherhood of Makuta. And this starts with Axon being on the island of Voyanui still. He's just kind of hanging around, doing guardian things, and all of a sudden, not Botar shows up, and Toa Krakua. And Axon runs forward. He's like, I don't know who these dudes are, but they look like trouble, and throws both of them into a headlock. And I'm like, who are you guys? Who brought you here? And they're like, no, we're official. We're on Order of Matanui business. We're Order of Matanui members. And he's like, Order of Matanui? Standard seem to be slipping these days. And he's like, dude, okay, look. Botar's like, look, this is Toa Krakua. We literally made him a Toa like 5 minutes ago. So this is important for things, but you're needed. And he's like, but I need it, and they're teleport, because not Botar still has teleportation features.
I thought Botar 2 Electric Boogaloo looked like Botar 1.
Yes, he does,
So
but his name is also Botar.
Yes, but how does Axon not think then that is his...
Because he looks just enough not like Botar.
Okay.
It's like small, minute details and differences. Yes, Jason.
Did they make a toy of Botar 2?
Did not make a toy of Botar 2.
I didn't even think to ask that. I'm so tired.
They did not make a toy of Botar 2. So they wind back up at Daxia, which is the home headquarters island of the Order of Matanui. And Axon's like, so what's all this about? What's going on? And Howard's is like, hey, listen, you got some important stuff going on, and we're gonna need you to partner up with an old friend. He looks over and it's Brutaka! Brutaka's here! And he's like, what's up, bud? And they fucking do the hands clasp. I'm like, what's going on, man? He's like, never thought I'd see you again. Brotaka, yeah, friggin' Brotaka and Brozon. And we're like, what's all this about? And Bertaka's like, I don't know, man. Helrix is talking about something called the Destiny War. The Order of Montanui is finally coming out of hiding. Like, we are going in for the kill on the Brotherhood of Bakuda. And Axon's like, man, shit must have gotten real serious. So, they're like, as we're speaking, we have a mission that we need to go on, and there's some other stuff going on. Helrix is trying to make contact with the Dark Hunters to hire them for something, presumably to hold down Zaya because there's some disturbance going on there. Me and you, we're going to Zakhaz. So Brutaka and Axon go to Zakhaz and storm the beaches and are just pummeling and beating up Skakti left and right. And they're like, hey, man, like, we're really, like, Brutaka, why are we doing this again? Why do we do it like this? Like, we're getting kind of pinned down here. And Brutaka's like, oh, no, we're not pinned down. Those guys over there, shoots an energy blast, buries them under a pile of rubble. They're kind of pinned down over there. And Axon's like, well, what are we going to be doing here? And Brutaka's like, good idea. And throws Axon's hand and his up in the air and goes, we surrender. We surrender. Take us to your leader.
Oh, are they French?
No, not quite.
Okay.
And they're Danish. Denmark. So,
Mercy.
so they get brought to the center of the island where their Skakti war chief, Nektan, is. And he's like, oh, what do you guys want? And Brutaka's like, all right, listen here, guy. We've been to all the other Skakti tribes on the island already and talked to all the other warlords. We're getting together. We're going to go fight Brother in Makuta. Are you in for the spoils of victory or are you out? And Nektan's like, what? What? Huh? What? You think a Skakti warlord wouldn't want to get on the tank? And they're like, yeah, you definitely wouldn't want to be the last one to join on. And he's like, definitely going to join in now. Oh, Skakti, all these Skakti work for me. We're going to go fight with you guys. And they're like, nice. Axel's like, also, why did you lie to him? This is the first place we've been to. And he's like, yeah, but it makes a good story. And they just believe it anyway. And it'll make it easier later on as we continue on. So they go throughout the entire island, recruiting all these Skakti war chiefs and their like war tribes to join their forces. As this is going on, the Toa Mari are just kind of standing around in the Colosseum. Man, that sure was weird that all the Toa Haga went. And all of a sudden, a giant whirlwind of crystal dust just phases in around them, and a voice speaks out of it, flashing brilliantly blinding light. It goes, hey guys, so Order of Montanui is a thing. We need your assistance on stuff. That's kind of something the Toa Haga were doing, but we need you to do something as well. There's a series of islands down south, and we need you to do something, and it pulls out this gem. Now, this is like a coalescing vortex of dust and light, and it gives them this giant orange gem. Like, this is the heart of the Viscerac. Wherever you go with it, and it has been activated, wherever you go, all the Viscerac in the universe will go to that place. You are going to go down to this island. You are going to leave it there, and then all the Viscerac will go there. And they're like, and then what? And they're like, and then the island will explode and kill all the Viscerac. And they're like, I don't know how to feel about eradicating an entire species. And the dust cloud is like, I don't think I asked if I care.
Are the Visceracs invasive? Like they just
yeah, well, they're led by a leader, but they are an intrinsically invasive species that is responsible for wiping out multiple populations. So
Just on you, reverse card.
yeah, pretty much, pretty much. And so they go, all right, guys. Here's what we'll do. Jala, Holly, and Nuparu will go down there. Huki and Kongu, you stay here and watch the Coliseum just so we have Toa that are still within the city of Metro Nui, because nobody knows where the Toa Nuva are. Nobody knows where Takanuva disappeared off to. If anything happens, there's only going to be 2 Toa here left. And like, okay, cool. So, Jala, Holly, and Nuparu head off. They're going to take a boat to go down to the southern islands, and this coalescing vortex merges into a being that is known as Jomac, and she, like Star Trek neck chops both Kongu and Huki and knock them out. And that's kind of weird. So Jala, Holly, and Nuparu get down to the island. And they're like, wow, this is kind of a weird place. They're like, yeah, hey, look, I think there's somebody on the island over there. Who could that be? Isn't that guy Taxidox? And they're like, shit. And before they can even look away, he's like, mind wipe! And hypnotizes them. And he goes, all right, guys, you're going to stand on the island here with this oh, it's the heart of Vizrak? Cool. So it'll bring all of Vizrak here. And when they get here, the whole island is just going to, the volcano's going to erupt and kill everything, including you. And I'm just going to take your boat because I didn't have one. Now I have a boat to get off this island. Bye-bye! And leaves. And they're just stuck there, standing still, while the island is slowly being invaded by Vizrak that are just coming in. And they're like, and Jala's like, shit, what do I do? And all of a sudden he hears a voice in his head that's like, oh, come now, Jala, I didn't think you were this weak. Interesting plan, but I thought you were better toe this. It's the voice of Makuta Pterodax talking to him, or is it? Who knows? How is it talking to him? And he kind of starts arguing back and forth with it. And he's like, you won't just let all your friends die on this island that's going to explode with lava, are you? And Jala is able to snap out of his hypnoticism? Trance, there we go. Trance, as well as get Holly and Nuparo out as well, as the entire island is being flooded with Vizrak. And they're like, oh crap, what's going on? What's going on is we need to get off this island. And they're like, we don't have any boat. What are we going to do? And Jala's just like, we swim for it. And they're like, we're going to swim all the way back up to Metru Nui. And Jala's like, if that's what it takes, then yes, we're just going to have to do that. And so they were just like kind of delaying it, and a bunch of Vizrak just get more and more on the island. They're like, all right, guys, we don't have time to like weigh down the metaphysical implications on and moral and ethical on if it's right to just end an entire species like this. We gotta go. So they jump off the island. They start swimming out in the water. All of a sudden, boom! Explosions. Volcano erupts and starts melting and kills all the Vizrak. All of them. Fucking all of them. No more Vizrak. They're gone. And hooray! Success. Now, as this is going on, the Shadowed One has finally managed to find his way onto the island of Zaya, and has basically established himself as the warlord domination man who is being held, because the Order of Matanui says, we just need you to hold the island and make sure nobody comes and touches anything, and the Order of Matanui doesn't come and fight. Because all across the Matoran universe, there are Order of Matanui forces assaulting Brotherhood citadels and vice versa, and there's wins and losses all going on there. But Zaya is important as far as like a manufacturing facility island. And they don't want the Brotherhood of Makuta to get a bunch of weapons there. As the Shadow One is walking around, he notices that there is a vortex just kind of digging in some rubble frantically and looking around suspiciously, and Shadow One just walks up. He's like, oh, hey man, let me help you out with that. He's like, oh no, you don't have to do that. You don't have to help me out. He's like, no. I insist, let me help you. So the Shadow One starts digging in the ground and pulls out a box stamped with the Brotherhood of Makuta symbol on it. Interesting, and opens it up, and there are 3 fancy vials in it. At this time, the basically like second highest member of the Order of the Brotherhood of Dark Hunters, or the Dark Hunter Brotherhood, is named Ancient. Ancient and the Shadowed One were actually the people who started the Dark Hunter Brotherhood. They came from the same island. So he's been around but fun fact, Ancient is actually an Order of Matanui spy, sent to basically keep an eye on the Dark Hunter Brotherhood in case they ever got into anything that was too crazy. Considering all the other things, yes.
So that one's not Danish, it's Chinese then, right?
Sure.
Okay.
Ain't China net. I don't know. I can't think of anything fun for it. So Ancient, like this is also considering that all the horrible and terrible things that the Brotherhood of Makuta, the Dark Hunter Brotherhood has done throughout the last 100,000 years or whatever, has just been okay. But only, nothing has been deemed like enough for the Order of Matanui to just quash them, even though they have a spy on the inside. So Ancient comes up and he's kind of looking around for the Shadow One. He's like, oh, hey man, because Ancient is at this point been tasked by the Brotherhood to kind of really try and push the Shadowed One to just completely join forces with the Order of Matanui, so that they don't get eliminated once this is all over. So he goes, oh, hey, Shadowed One, just looking everywhere for you. Where you been? He's like, oh, nothing. I'm just investigating some of the local culture. And he's like, what's up with that dead vortex next to you? And he's like, oh, he's just dead tired. He's like, what you got in your hands there? Shadow One. He's like, everyone knows the story about that. There was at one point a Makuta who, was the Makuta of Zaya. And the Makuta all work in different viruses that do different things. And there was a legend that the Makuta had found a really interesting virus that was able to destroy other Makuta, or something really crazy if they ever needed to. But that Makuta suddenly disappeared when the Order of Montanui started purging anyone who knew of the location of the island of Artaka. Which, to go back a little bit, after the Brotherhood of Makuta stole the Mask of Light, that was Makuta Kojol who did this. Artaka was so mad, he contacted the Order of Montanui and went, okay, look, I'm so mad that somebody came into my house, literally kill anyone who knows my address. And the Order of Montanui went, can do, and sent out agents to kill literally everyone who knew the location of the island of Artaka, including Order of Montanui members. They also got caught up in the purge too. But Makuta Kojol was the one who was that, and he had created this. And inside this box is this this fancy viruses and such. And opens one of them, and he's like, yeah, I found this, and it'll be pretty crazy, and we'll be able to use it, really well, and be able to really turn things in our favor once it's all over. Which is why, unfortunately, Ancient just turns to him, laser beams, and disintegrates Ancient. He's like, it can't be a secret if two people know about it. And it just literally, that's the biggest, sad thing, because it's like, didn't kill him because he found out he was a traitor. Didn't even know he was a spy. Just, like, oh, no, two people, you can't call it a secret if two people know it. And, yeah, so at the same time, Helrix has gone into the pit, where Hydraxon has imprisoned the other 4 Baraki warlords. And it's basically, she's like, all right, guys, here's the deal. We need she's like, we need armies. And we need people to lead those armies. And you guys have a lot of experience, so we're going to let you out on good behavior. But don't fuck up. And all the Baraki are like, wait, really? We just get out? And she's like, yes, and you have to conquer islands. And they're like, wait, we get to do the thing we were doing before? And she's like, don't make me regret it. I hate Makuta so much, I'm willing to let you guys out to do this. And Prydak is immediately like, yes, my time has come to finally bring back 80,000 years that have gone by and take over. And everyone else is like, yeah, what? I'm still, and by the time they realize it, he's already gone. He's already taken his ship and a bunch of crew, and he's gone. And all the other Baraki are starting to take their own fleets. Prydak and his fleet arrive on the island of Zaya, and with, I think, Kalma not far behind. And Shadow One was like, yo, whoa, who are you guys? And they're like, us? We're nobody important, just the fucking Baraki. And the Shadow One's like, oh, man, that sure does make things a little interesting. Sorry guys, I can't give you this island though. I was tasked by a group to I was like, no, we know. We're on that. We've been contracted by them as well. But here's the interesting thing. There's a legend that there's supposed to be some crazy viruses on this island. And Shadow One's like, no. And then the Baraki are like, and we just thought that if you found them, the Shadow One's like, I would let you know. And the Baraki are like, which is why we already know that you have them. We know that you have the viruses. We already know. But we don't want to fight you for them. In fact, instead, we offer an alliance because we have deep inside knowledge from working with the Brotherhood of Makuta on how you can use and apply those viruses. And the Shadow One is like, all right, after all this is over, we have a deal. And they shake on it, and that's fucking terrible. It's almost like everything that we've done for the last, I don't know, this is 2008, the last 8 years, all the people that were the bad guys and doing all things, everyone's just getting get out of jail free cards. Everybody is getting get out of jail free cards, do whatever, just fight Makuta. That's like, they're like, no, Makuta are literally
Are they defunding the Toa now?
Dude, the Toa got defunded hard before that. Makuta, Makuta Lives Matters over here, need to defund the Toa.
So how
Well, at
are
least
editing videos?
well, I mean,
Just
look.
like
if nothing else, we can say it was very accurate for the Dark Mirror universe that Takanuva went to, where there was the whole crazy. Because Chris, you weren't here for it last week either, so you missed that.
I was here for
Oh no, you were. Okay, I'm thinking Tristan. Okay, and so anyway, yeah, that one where the whole Toa were hunted, where the Makuta were hunted to extinction, and that there's the Toa Empire and all that. Yeah, that one. So, but yeah, so that's pretty awful. By the time that, so then after this, Brutaka and Axon meet back up, and Makuta Miserex just dumped all the people he was carrying off into the ocean because he was like, "All right, guys, thanks for having me out. See you later, deuces." Shook everyone else to drop in the ocean. Makuta Miserex flies in to the island of Stealth and rips the roof off of one of the cabins up and goes, "Hey guys, I need information." And they're like, "What the shit? There's this giant lizard dragon here. What do you need?" He's like, "Look, I don't have time for you to. I just want to know, where is Pterodax?" And they're like, "I don't know what you mean." He's like, "Look, I'm a Makuta. I don't care what you're saying. I know you're lying. I know you probably found it. Where is Pterodax? Let everyone know throughout the universe that Miserex is back, and he's coming for Pterodax." Gets his information, figures out and learns where Pterodax is, flies off. Brutaka and Axon are now being sent because Helrix is gone. "All right, guys, we figured out a vital point that we have to strike, a vital blow to the Brotherhood of Makuta. And that is, we have found, 1, where Makuta are created, and 2, we have a list of all the pools of energized protodermis in the Matoran universe that they use to make things. We need to destroy both of those things. We're sending out strike teams to go do that. Brutaka and Axon, you guys will go to an island, or to a part in the southern continent, and you're going to destroy this pool there, whatever is there." So Helrix and what's his name?
Matoran.
No, not Matoran. He was a Matoran, but now he's not. Krakua, the Toa Sonics, they go to basically what is like one of the last holds of energized protodermis, and they're going to go destroy that pool. Brutaka and Axon are being sent down to the southern continent to go destroy the pool of antidermis, which is what Makuta are made out of. Mountain Dew, pretty much.
Super monster.
And yeah, it's like green buff monster energy drink. And before this, Brutaka has one last mission for Vizon. And we're going to go ahead and take a quick break here and get back to that in a second. We're back from the break. All right, so Brutaka goes up to Vizon and goes, "All right, Vizon, I got one last mission for you." I think it was him. It was either Brutaka or it was Jomak. Might have been Jomak. Jomak is another Order of the Member of Motunui who grabs Vizon out of his cell, because they had him in a cell. They're like, "All right, we got one more thing to do." And he's like, "Oh, what do you need me to do?" And he's like, "It's only something that you could do, Vizon." And Vizon's like, "What is that? I am the best at many things." And he's like, Jomak's like, "All right, where are we going?" And he's like, "We're going to the island of Destrol. It is the home base of the Brotherhood of Makuta. Are sending you there because you are going to pretend to betray the Brotherhood of Makuta. I mean, you're going to pretend to betray the Order of Motunui to the Brotherhood of Makuta. While you are there, you need to go and find where their teleportation function is for the island, because the island can just complete teleport anywhere. You need to figure out how that works, and then get word back to me." And Vizon's like, "Okay." Gets onto the island, and it's just like grabbed up by a bunch of Rakshi and some Brotherhood guards and some Makuta, and they're like, "What are you doing here?" And he's like, "I have come to betray the Order of Motunui," which is what they'd like me to think, so that I could actually betray you to them. But where's the fun in that? They want me to pretend to betray them. How about I betray them for real? Wouldn't you think that's cool? And they're like, "I have no idea what that thing just said. Bring him inside and we'll interrogate him." And he's like, so he's trying to explain to them that he's like, no, for real. The Order of Motunui is this big thing. You guys are at war with them. I get it. They told me to pretend like, I'm gonna betray them, so just learn where you have your teleporting thing, so then you wouldn't know that after you have the teleporting thing messed up, they're gonna summon a whole bunch of army to just come up and destroy your entire base here. And they're like, there's no army coming around. He's like, which is exactly what they'd want you to think. And it's just, there's so much of just, they're like, I literally cannot tell if you're just insane or you're telling the truth or you're a really bad liar. Either way, to the dungeons with you. And so they bring Vizon deep down into the dungeons of Destral, where a Makuta named Tridax is working. Makuta Tridax is the one who came up with the little orange spheres that pop open with the little leeches that come out. That's why they're called Tridax pods, because he made it. And there, Vizon looks around and he's there, and he's looking around, and there's a whole bunch of giant, like, stasis tubes all around, and in all of them, Vizon looks at him and goes, well, that's interesting. It's all the same person, but only slightly different. In every single one of these many, many tubes is a Shadow Takanuva. And on the desk is a Kanohi Olmec, the Mask of Dimensional Gates.
Are there toys
Tridax?
Shadow talking?
God damn it. I was petting a cat. This is not fair.
She hasn't done it yet.
This time, not this.
This time.
No.
Not this time.
Last time I did.
Basically, Tridax goes, yeah, so basically, wouldn't it be cool if we had an army of Toa of Darkness? So I just went to a bunch of different universes with this Kanohi Olmec and just snatched up a bunch of Takanuvas and then just drained all the light out of them, and now we're gonna have this cool thing. Isn't that neat? And like, as this is happening, suddenly the fortress is under attack and it's being bombarded, and he's like, wait, what? I thought you were lying. And Vizon was like, what? No, I told you what was gonna happen. I was betraying you for real, but I don't know. And he's like, oh crap. All right, well, we're just gonna go ahead and use the teleport function. Hits the teleport switch, and all of a sudden, the island of Destral teleports right next to the island of Metru Nui, where a giant force of Order of Matanui agents is already waiting, and their fleets is immediately going into full-scale battle with the island of Destral, the Makuta's home base island. Yes, Chris.
So I imagine when they were writing this story arc,
Yes.
they took every, like, climactic scene from every, like, action movie, superhero movie ever, and they just fucking started writing them to get to the center
It
point.
really feels like
Yeah.
it.
So like, let's make a traitor, let's release the bad guys, let's have the bad guys help each other, let's teleport
Oh,
shit.
yeah.
The old switcheroo.
And we've got multi-dimensional travel, multiple
Shadow
universes.
good guys.
We got copies of people coming around and clones from different.
We're
They're
gonna
like,
make you think it doesn't work.
They're like,
that's
Botar
exactly
too.
what
they're like,
Botar too.
Botar 2, not Botar Toodaloo.
I'm his brother.
Maybe? And so, as Tridax is getting ready to go, all of a sudden, a sudden mist comes into the room like a virus, and his armor completely starts disintegrating, and his essence flies out and suddenly is vaporized, and out of the corner comes, Top Duck. That was his name. Top Duck. That was his name. Comes
I
out.
don't see how you couldn't remember that. That's fucking.
Dude, when you got people named like Joe Mac and Top Duck, and you got Top Duck.
This motherfucker's just bouncing a ball.
Oh, I'm sorry,
and He's
it's-
like, there's.
I'm sorry, it's
That's we're gonna
just
make a name
darts.
out of
yeah,
it.
it's so weird. Anyway, so as this happens, Vizon is freed, looks at the Kanohi Olmec and goes, I'm gonna get out of here with my army of Shadow Takanuvas. But doesn't have time, grabs a mask, opens up a portal. As this is all happening, way down, Axon and Brutaka have made their way into where the pool of Antidermis is. This is the birthplace of all Makuta. Antidermis is what they're made of. And they go and they get ready to destroy it, and all of a sudden the pool starts talking to them and it's like, you can't do that, nerds. and they're like, what? And it's like, you must know the truth. And grabs Brutaka and Axon and drags them kind of into the pool of Antidermis, and they're both kind of drowning. All of a sudden, Axon feels himself getting pushed up out of it, and Brutaka pushes him out. And then Brutaka just comes out of the Antidermis, hovering and levitating and glowing green, And it's like, it is the body of Brutaka. It is the voice of Brutaka, but they are not the words of Brutaka. And it basically goes on to say, the Makuta have forgotten what their initial purpose was. They no longer remember what their cause is 100,000 years ago, but I remember, and they must be made to remember, or else the universe will be destroyed. This is not particularly great. At the same time, way back up more north, Helrix and Krakua have made their way into what is, they believe, one of the final pools of energized protodermis left that has not been destroyed. And they go in, and they are getting ready to just bomb the whole place down, and suddenly, the same energized protodermic entity that from way, way, way back in Maze of Shadows comes up and is like, yeah, no, you guys have been using my stuff, but I'm way more powerful than you, I'm way more important than you. I come from a planet that was on the verge of being destroyed, and a piece of me kind of got put into this island here, and it's spread out through the entire universe. You cannot destroy me. Even if you destroy me here, I'll just pop up in another island. And they're like, I wouldn't be so sure about that. And at that moment, the energized protodermis being launches a wave of energized protodermis at Toa Helrix and Toa Krakua. Helrix tries to use her water manipulation abilities to stop the waves, but realizes that, nope, that's not how that works, because liquid protodermis isn't water. She has no control over it. This giant tidal wave come out there. There's nothing that can be done. So now we swap. We're going to talk about Brothers in Arms. Brothers in Arms is another side story here, and it focuses primarily on two Matoran. A co-Matoran named Mazeka and a Tomatoran named Voltraz. Basically, Voltraz, this little red Tomatoran here, is a little shit-ass, and has been going around and just murdering Matoran and destroying villages for pretty shiny gems that he likes, for whatever reason and stuff. Just being generally evil. He is just evil. Mazeka is a Komatoran who, up only until about a few weeks ago, was just studying and trying to figure out the points of the universe and where the Makuta came from and how they were created. And Mazeka went in, killed his mentor, and stole all their research now. So now Mazeka is going in and trying to fight him. I don't have Mazeka here, but he's like a little white Matoran with silver mask. I know, big sad.
But there's a
And this is set 5 years before all the events are going on here. One thing leads to another. They get into a confrontation. They're on the edge of a cliff, and Mazeka, the good Matoran, basically gets almost tossed off the cliff, but then Obi-Wan Kenobi's it from the Phantom Menace and kind of flips back up, somersaults off, and kicks Voltraz down into the chasm below.
Fuck you, Anakin!
Yeah, pretty much. Just this chasm of razor blades, basically.
Ooh.
Doesn't even get to see him or hear him scream, and he's like, yeah, he's just probably for the better. A being walks up to them and says, and like grabs him and is like, oh, you know, good job, kid. You know, everybody's gonna love you for that. And he's like, oh, I don't know about that. So Mazeka walks back to his village, where some of the people are like congratulating him because Voltraz was kind of the worst ever and did a lot of horrible things. And Mazeka did everyone generally a good service, but Mazeka doesn't feel good about that. He ends up being in coming into going to what's it called? His hut, or he's sitting there at night, and somebody knocks on his door. He opens it, there's nobody there. He turns around, the chair that he had been sitting on is gone, has been moved out of place. So he goes to move the chair back, and it won't move now. There is an invisible being here that announces itself and is like, hey, listen, I'm from Important Orders. Like, I saw what you did there. You had the right stuff. Listen, I need your help with something. So come on, help me out. We're gonna go find this. You know, we gotta go help this Matoran named Krakua before someone gets to him. So they go on a mission out together. And at the same time, Makuta Gorast, the green one, has been working on Voltraz and basically rebuilt his body and kind of given him a new look and a new voice. So everyone thinks that he's dead. Voltraz has also been sent by Gorast, yes.
Did they make a toy then?
No, bitch!
Yes! Chris Sack. They did.
That's
This is technically his new
That's our
form.
Matoran name.
Krazak. So yeah, new Morty there. He's being sent by Goras to go kidnap and destroy this and kill this Matoran named Krakua. One thing leads to another. They're fighting each other. The Order of Matanui member and Mazeka go to a village of Matoran of Sonics, where it is literally so quiet that even when they whisper, it sounds like they're yelling. And basically, it's just so deathly quiet. And it's explaining to Mazeka, is like, look, it's like the Matoran of Sonics. We need to go and get this one Matoran. He's like, because Matoran that are seem to be destined to become Toa always seem to just be a little off. And we got one here. So we need to go snatch him up. And they're like, but, okay. But why do you guys need it? I was like, well, here's the thing. You ever wonder why there's not a whole lot of Toa Sonics about? It's because they're really, really sensitive to sound. And they are literally just so sensitive to their own power. It's one of the great Bing's many practical jokes. Toa Sonics, you just kill yourself with your own abilities. So we're going to take him, we're going to train him and make him so. It'll be really useful and powerful. Mazeka shows up. Voltraz, in those weird bodies, shows up. They get into a fight. Mazeka feels like there's something familiar about this. Realizes when it's far too late that Mazeka has his blade to his throat and is like, knocks his mask off and is like, I could kill you. And I should. Goes back to swing. He's like, but I won't. Mazeka, you get to live today only because I let you. And nothing in this universe could have stopped me. And you have to go live your entire life knowing that. So, I'll see you around. And then bounces. Mazeka is so pissed off, he goes up to the invisible being, whose name I cannot remember right now. It actually might be Tardot, or I don't know. There's so many of them.
We'll call him Panpon.
We'll call him what?
Panpon.
Panpon. We'll call him Panpon, because I can't remember at this point. And he goes, all right, Panpon, I want some of that sweet brotherhood training too. I want to be so good at all fightings and weapons. And then, okay, yeah. And he's like, Panpon's like, yeah, sure, okay. Yeah, we'll take you some training. 5 years pass. Mazeka is now a really skilled fighter. Goes onto the island of Stealth. Hears that there is a not a Damatoran, a Famatoran. Famatoran are Matoran of Iron. Are they? God.
F-E?
It's F-E, but I can't remember if that's Toa of Magnetism or Toa of Iron. Shit.
Oh, shit.
Because it might be Samatoran. No, but Samatoran is Psionics. I don't know, man. There's just so many. Anyway, it's a Matoran of Iron. One of the many Ninra ghosts, basically, who worked with the Ninra ghosts, who were Matoran of Iron that made all the armor for the Makuta and stuff. Anyway. Goes up to there and, kicks past all his bodyguards into his workshop. He goes, I need some information, boy. And he's like, oh, I don't have any information. He's like, don't fucking lie to me. And then kicks off his mask and hovers his foot over, about to crush it. Knocks his throat. He's like, tell me where Mazeka is. You made upgraded parts for a Sky Blaster for him that went around and destroyed a village the other day, killed 2 Matoran, injured 12. You're responsible for this too. So, where is he? He's like, oh, I don't know. He's like, no, where is he? And Matoran goes, all right, he's, I heard him saying something about he's got some important information for Makuta named Icarax, and that he's going to something about the core, or something like that. And Mazeka's like, okay, cool, great. Next time, don't take so long. And crushes his mask and just bounces.
Oh.
And so Mazeka goes, the Swamp Strider, goes onto the island of... He bursts onto the island of Daxia, which is the home base of the Order of Matanui, which normally you have to kind of give them some heads up that you're showing up. Otherwise, they're just going to assault you and interrogate you. But he's like, I don't have time for protocol. I've got important information. And he's busting his way past guards and hiding and sneaking through the fortress to make his way into Helix's room, where... I want to say it's Tarduk is. I don't remember. Anyway, an Order of Matanui member is there, and he's like, come on out, Mazeka, I know you're hiding in here. And he's like, yeah. Basically, this is the guy who is like the #1 top best assassin of the Order of Matanui, who personally went and killed like every person in the universe who knew where the island of Artaka was. He's the guy who did it. And one thing leads to another. He's like, I've got really important information. I need to get to the core. I don't know where that is. And so he's like, all right, Matoran. He's like, you do me a favor.
We're gonna go on a mission. I'll help you. And Mazeka's like, oh, okay, what are we doing? He's like, hunting. So they storm all of a sudden onto the island of Destrel, the Makuta's home base. It's being under attack and everything right now. And it is where the Lord of Matanui, remember, was the one who releases the virus to kill Makuta Tridax, where he told Mazeka that he needs to go and kill Vizon. So he goes and unleashes Vizon in the first place, and he's like, I don't know who you are, but I have no reason to kill you, so just get out of here, man. And Vizon's like, yeah, cool, totally, man, sure. Takes his Olmec and teleports out. Mazeka is then given the information of where he needs to go to get into the core of the universe and makes his way into Cardanui with his Swamp Strider, which is just like a giant four-legged spider walker thing. Voltraz is above. He's a Shadow Meteor now. Yes!
Toy?
Yes, they do have a toy. I didn't bring it
Yes!
with me, but I will bring it next week.
Okay.
And, you know, a whole bunch of crazy stuff. Voltraz is flying above. He looks down. He sees, you know, Toa and Makuta fighting. A bunch of these Toa and Makuta fighting. And goes, yep, well, look at that. Isn't that Mazeka? I think we're going to go down here and fight him. So Mazeka comes down in with his sky cruiser thing. Mazeka turns up at the last moment. They fire bolts of light and shadow at each other, and all of a sudden a portal opens up and they're both dragged through it. Weird. So I'll hold off on that one, and we'll come back to that story. But, so this giant, so we'll go back up. The Tohaga, we left them off a little bit ago. They are still stuck in this giant, this tunnel. They're magnetized to it. They're like, I don't know, guys. You guys, anybody got any dares? And they're like, nope, I think this is it. And all of a sudden, through the walls, a giant reptile dragon just bursts through the walls. It's Makuta Miserex. And he's like, lesser beings, my favorite. Unmagnetizes all of them. And he's like, all right, come with me, guys. I think we're going. Yeah, I'm going for the Scary Terror. We're going to the same place. So they all hop on board, and they're all traveling deeper into the tunnels there. And they finally make their way into a room. A large room with a bunch of machinery and things everywhere. Like crazy contraptions, machinery, and two corpses are in this room. The Tohaga and Miserex walk up and begin to inspect them. And it's one of the Tohaga who goes, this is really weird. Whatever these beings are that are here, like, they died a long, long, long time ago. And they have no mechanical components to them. These were purely organic beings. What are they doing here? How do they get here? Yes, Jason.
So there is love in the Bionicle universe.
Just not in the Matoran universe. So, all of a sudden, as everyone's standing around, they're like, where's Terror? Miseresk is like, where's Pterodax? I'm going to destroy everything. Where's Pterodax? At the same time, a giant portal opens up in front of Toa Helrix and Krakua. They are pulled through this portal and end up in the same room as them. At the same point as that, Brutaka and Axon also walk through a portal into the room. And now we have everybody standing in this room from portals that they don't know how they got there. Spoiler alert. Oh, but there's one more portal that we need to talk about. And that is the portal that Vizon opened with his Kanohi Omak. And as soon as he looked out, there was a tidal wave of energized Protodermis coming right at him. And he gets hit by it. And fuses with the Kanohi Olmak. The Kanohi Olmak's powers are now fused to him. So he was the one who kind of had crazy teleporting powers and accidentally teleported everyone together. Yes, Zach.
Super important.
Yes.
They're rebooting Fantastic Four live action movie. I know, I'm not the only one who's excited about this. I had to share it.
Holy fuck.
Oh, shut that.
May be worse than the others.
Can't be worse than anything we got here. So.
You never saw the first Final Fantasy.
So anyway. Jeez. So, everyone's standing around. They're like, what's going on? All of a sudden, Makuta Pterodax's voice starts emanating throughout the room. And he goes, ha ha ha. You're all too late. Look at this. All of my foes gathered in one spot. And Miserex is like, where's Makuta? He's hiding behind something? And he's like, I'm not hiding behind anything. Can't you tell? I'm everywhere around you. And Miserex goes, of course. The voice is coming from the machines. I must destroy the machines. And Brutaka, being possessed by the Antidermis, goes, no, you must not do that. The Makuta have, this room holds vital importance to the health of Matanui. Holds vital importance to the entirety of the universe. Destroying anything here would prevent the great spirit Motunui from awakening, as all have forgotten the true purpose of Motunui, though I have not. And then, so that's pretty much the end of Dwellers in Darkness, and it wraps up not Brothers in Arms, but some of the other stuff here. So now we can kind of cut back to the final battle. Last book in the series. Oh, last book in 2008. This book entirely starts off with all the Toa, all the Makuta immediately in battle. They're trying to snipe and strike at each other from the mist, in between the mist, up in the sky. They're constantly just trying to find some way to win. If someone was watching onward, it would be a constant back and forth battle where all of a sudden the Makuta would be pressing an attack on the Toa and trying to destroy them, and the Toa would rile together for a hearty counterattack. The only person out of this is kind of hanging around is Makuta Krika, who's kind of hovering and levitating somewhere else and just kind of looking at everything going on, knowing that this cannot last, and eventually one side will fall. But for the time being, their job is just to distract the Toa Nuva. We cut back to Takanuva finally gets the right jump home. He steps out of a portal and finds his way, and he's suddenly in Cardanui. Because of this, however, I forgot to mention last time, when he was in the Dark Mirror universe, Makuta Krika gave him a virus that allows him to fly. So now Takanuva can fly. But also he's got his power staff and his little Midax Sky Blaster. Yes.
Why is he fucking gigantic?
Because when Takanuva enters into the world of Cardanui, because he was an Avmatorn, they even mentioned before that the Avmatorn seems to be larger and just generally bigger than other Matoran they've ever seen before. The energies of Cardanui, because Takanuva was an Avmatoran, and he's come back to what was essentially his original home, he has been supercharged and supersized.
Wait, he was an Avatar?
Yes, Jakua was an Avmatoran. We covered this last time.
Gotcha.
Basically, so there was a point where it's called the time slip, where after at one point in the universe, after the whole Matoran Civil War, the Order of Motunui went around and gathered up a bunch of Avmatoran and spread a bunch of Avmatoran disguised as whatever the fuck Matoran throughout the entire universe. So if ever there was need to have a Toa of light, they would be able to get some Avmatoran that weren't stuck in Cardanui. At the same time, they also wiped the memory of every single being in the entire universe for 6 months. So nobody has any recollection of that time period. Which is also why a lot of the Matoran just think that they were always, whatever, at whatever place. He starts wandering around. Gali gets dragged up into the sky by Krika. And Krika is kind of just talking. He's like, Matoran, he's like, Toa, do we really have to dance this dance? We don't have to do this. I don't know if it would be better for me to kill you now, or if it would be worse if I let you live and you would have to suffer the world that you would come to know. And she's like, I don't understand what you're talking about. Why are you guys doing this? And Krika goes, that it's set, and so Krika gives her a tablet of transit that goes, wherever you go, if anything happens, you will have some sway with the Brotherhood of Makuta if you have this. Take it and leave now if you want to live. And she's like, I don't understand why now? Why do you seem like you're trying to help me with this? And Krika goes, there's a saying that everything that a Makuta has ever done in their entire lives will eventually come back to them at the end. I would like there to be at least a little bit of empathy coming back to me in the end. And Pohatu Nuva comes up and is like, yo, what's going on? Or whatever. And Krika kind of just fades away. Because when he was mutated in the swamp water, he can make it so he can control the density of his atoms. So he can kind of just become intangible at will. Well, as this is all going on, Pohatu and Gali are down in the swamps and run into Takanuva. Takanuva shows up and he's like, oh, hey Gali, what's going on? And she's like, what the hell? How did you get so big? And he's like, I have no idea. It's just huge. And Pohatu walks up and he's like, can't say I'm a really big fan of the color scheme. And Takanuva's like, you're one to talk, you're orange. And Pohatu's like, yeah, but I wear it well.
Okay,
So Yeah, pretty much. And so Takanuva starts relaying to them basically everything they need to know. When Motunui awakens, there's going to be huge lightning storms. It's going to destroy everything in Cardanui, so they have to get out of there. They have to find some way out. They need to get to the Codex. The answer is there. Once they get all the keystones together, it'll have detailed information on what they need to do to awaken Motunui. Krika is nearby, hears this and goes, "Oh shit. Interesting. Really interesting how our great leader Makuta Pterodax sent all his top generals to go into Cardanui, knowing that when Motunui awakens, they'll all be destroyed, which is what he wants. Because he just wants us to delay the Toa until the time is right, not outright stop them." Meanwhile, up in the air, Makuta Icarax is basically being held down by the Toa Ignika. Toa Ignika has just stopped fighting with him because he just crushed him, and Makuta Icarax is kind of offended because he feels like when you lose a battle, it means death. And the fact that the Toa Ignika hasn't killed him means that the Toa Ignika is weak. And starts trying to chide the Toa Ignika and bait him, but the Toa Ignika just doesn't say anything. It doesn't comprehend him because it just doesn't see him even as a threat. And then finally, Icarax starts laughing and goes, "Wait a second, you don't know. You don't know that you don't even know. Haven't you noticed that your mask isn't gold? Everyone tells tales about the golden mask of life, and your mask is silver. You didn't think about that right. It was one of the great beings, many great things they made. That the mask of life was a failsafe for if the universe was ever too bad, if their creation had ever gone so wrong that it would turn from gold to silver and finally to black, at which point it would absorb all life in the entire universe, scrubbing all of their mistakes away. The Toa have a countdown timer, and they don't even know it. And the Toa Ignika kind of is like, the Toa Ignika has only been around for just a very small amount of time and can't necessarily discern the difference between truth and a lie. But even if it was, that doesn't really matter because it is the truth. So Toa Ignika starts flying down to go see where the other Toa are, and the Toa Nuva all kind of pull back together with Takanuva. They all get together. At one point, some beasts come and attack Takanuva, Gali, and Pohatu. And Takanuva uses some shadow bolts, which immediately freaks the fuck out of Gali and Pohatu. And they're like, "Nope, definitely he's got to be a Makuta. He's got to be Makuta disguised as Takanuva. It's got to be." And he's like, no, I swear I'm not. He's like, "Listen, I can tell you immense things that you don't know about yourselves." And they're like, "How does that help? How?" He's like, wait, hold on. Gali, remember way back in Motunui Online Game 1, remember that time that you made a mental link with me so that I could see all the stuff going on there? Can you do that again? And Pohatu's like, "I wouldn't do it. It's just going to invade your mind." And she's like, "Well, there's no other way to try." Turns out it's like, "Nope, I can confirm. Totally is Takanuva. It's totally real." Okay. So they move back, and Takanuva reveals to them that, hey, lightning storms are coming. Big bad stuff. What do we do? So the Toa all band together with the Ignika. And they go, "All right, so here's what we do. We're going to go in and just do a full Zerg rush at them. We have the keystones. If anyone falls behind, we keep going forward. We just send off a thing, we go." Takanuva goes, "Also though, I need to go help all these Shadow Matoran because these Matoran that will be turned into Shadow Matoran are Av Matoran. They're my people. I need to go help and save them." And they're like, "Okay, sure thing." So Takanuva goes, flies up. The 6 Toa Nuva and the Toa Ignika immediately burst forth. They send off some some flares and shit to kind of almost signal the Makuta that they are coming, and just boom, start to try and blitz them, and they're all trying to fight past them. In the meantime, Takanuva has found Mutran is up in his hive, and he's really annoyed because in these test tubes he's got these things called clack. And Mutran, I'm sorry, not Mutran, Vikan, which is his little Shadow Matoran assistant, is kind of trying to figure out, and it breaks out. One of them breaks out. Vikan goes to chase after it, and it screams really loud at it, and all of a sudden, Vikan kind of feels like he's coming out of a haze, out of a dream. And it's like the light is restored to him, and he's no longer a Shadow Matoran. He's like, "Wow, that was weird." As Takanuva is flying up with these Matoran, actually no, this comes a little bit later, because all the Toa Nuva and Takanuva at the time, they managed to Zerg rush in, get to the Codex, put all the keystones in place. It brings down the force field. They manage to get inside. Tahu Nuva grabs the keystones, and the Kodrex seals up. The barrier goes back around it, and all the Makuta are just stuck around the outside of it, just waiting patiently. Once they get inside, they're like, "Wow, this place is. I feel like we've been here before, guys." And everyone's like, "Yeah, I kind of feel like we've been here before too. This sure is weird." And Tahu Nuva is the only one who kind of doesn't really say anything about this. He's like, "All right, guys, we need to figure out the keystones. We need to read the manuals and all this what's going on." And they're like, "Wait, wow, look at those 6 slots over there. Almost looks like it could fit some tow canisters. That sure is weird." And Tahu's like, "Yeah, weird, whatever. Let's just go ahead and figure this out." And so they hit a few switches and stuff, and the floor opens up, and they descend down below into it, where there's a series of light stones and some pathways. And as they approach some of the ends of these metal cocoons come up and unwrap, and there are these giant flying vehicles that come up, and on them are labeled the Rocco T3, the Axelara T9, and the Jettrax Jettrax J6, I think. I don't remember. But they're all like, "Ooh, look at these cool things. Like, these things are made for battle. This is crazy cool." And they start thinking about it, and they're like, "All right, guys, so we take these, we go out there, we kick their asses, because we don't really have much else from it." As this is all going down, Icarax has kind of roused itself and meets up with Krika, and because Krika's just like, "Yeah, man, I guess this is just the end. I don't know what's going to go on." And Icarax is like, "All right, so here's the deal. He's like, Makuta Pterodax's plan is dumb and bad, and I hate it, and my plan is better. So we're going to go in there, and we're going to crush and destroy the Kodrex, and then Pterodax's plan can't go through, and then I can be the leader." And Krika's like, "Well, your plan does involve me not getting killed by lightning snakes, so..." All right. So immediately, Makuta... Icarax starts using his forces of gravity to try and start crushing the what's it called? The Kodrex. It's a nominal amount, but before that, they need to kind of get something more going on. So the Krika, you're the only one who can do this. Krika's like, "All right, sure." Krika goes down to the force field, uses his power of intangibility, and lowers the density of his molecules to such a fine degree that he begins to try and phase through the barrier shield. He gets halfway through the shield because he feels like it's trying to sink through mud and can go no further, and he goes, "All right," because at this time, the other Makuta are starting to drive at him because they believe that they have betrayed the plan. Because the plan is for Toa to be in there, do whatever they need to do, awaken Matanui, and then when they come out, they'll be killed. But no, Krika's messing this all up. So Gorast, Antraz, Chirox, they all start going in, and Krika turns himself tangible again. And the force field can't deal with having something that is both in and outside of the barrier at the same time, which just zaps the hell out of Krika, but also short circuits the entire shield. The shield goes down. It's a full-on battle between all the Makuta now. Between basically Icarax and Krika versus Gorast, Antraz, Chirox, and Vampra. And Icarax is just going in, and he is just dominating. I mean, he is the best at combat among all the Makuta. He is just going in and just easily manhandling any Makuta comes up there. He's like, "Oh, look at that. He's got these. Oh, Vampire, you're coming up here. Let me just knock your Shadow Matoran off. Now you can't see shit. Haha, get fucked, nerd." And he's just chain lightning, and he's just having a good old time just beating the hell out of all these other Makuta. As this is going on, the Toa are like, "All right, guys, what do we do? What do we do if they get in?" He's like, "What if we just use the vehicles to go out there and attack them?" And everyone's like, "Nice. I like it." So Liwa gets on to the Axelara T9, Pohatu gets on the Rocco T3, and as Kopaka is about to jump onto the Jettrax J6, I think, I want to say it's the Jettrax T6, or J6, I don't know. Antraz has apparently found his way in there. He used the chameleon ability to make it so no one could see him. And he just hops right into the cockpit of that thing, and all of a sudden, like, boom, visors come up, and he links up with the machine, and it's like he can all of a sudden see again, and just whoom, zooms out of there so fast he zooms out past, like, it turns intangible, and he goes through the solid walls. The other two go follow him there, including Kopaka, Onua, Gali, and Tahu stay inside, and they start looking to try and figure out how to, do this keystone business. Takanuva says he's going to go out there, save his Matoran friends like we talked about earlier, goes out and does this there. Takanuva will run into Vikan, who is like, oh, no, I'm a good guy now. I'm a good guy. There's this Rahi that, made me think that, I'm not evil anymore and all this stuff. And the other Matoran are like, yeah, right, get real. No way. He's just messing with you. We've seen this before. And Takanuva's like, no, show me where this thing is. And so they bring Radiac, a Shadow Matoran, with them, who's just being full of vim and vigor and a bunch of vinegar, being a little piss shit. And just fighting the entire way. And they find this thing called the clack. It makes a sonic boom noise and hits Radiac. All of a sudden, lights back to him. All right, great. And Takanuva's like, gather up all of the Shadow Matoran. We're gonna gun them down with this sonic monster. And proceeds to go and just sonic blast the shit out of all of these Matoran and breaks their mental shield that's preventing them from having their light back into them or something. I don't know. And then it's like, all right, guys, we're all going to need to get out of here. There's going to be a huge lightning storm, so time to move all the Matoran to Metro Nuin. So they're all going to fly away and do that and stuff. As a note, a bunch of Makuta start coming up and fighting Takanuva, or getting in the way of things. Takanuva is slowly getting more and more into the darkness that has invaded his heart, and he's using Shadow Bolts and is now going into like a full like insanity-fueled rage and is out to just kill. And is just laser beaming everything. He's like, I don't even care. And Kopaka comes up and is like, hey, man, listen, knock it off. You're not like that. That's not who you are. He's like, I am exactly what they tried to turn me into. He's like, yeah, but if you do that, they win. He's like, oh, okay. I guess I should calm down. On the last Matoran that they free, the clack also hits him, and all of his darkness was removed from him, and he is turned back into white gold Takanuva. Hooray! Toe of Light actually looks like one. Yes, Jason.
Okay, is there chunky, I guess Chad, Takanuva that's original colors?
There is no palette swap available for Chonk, Takanuva, big boy.
So you don't even get his redemption.
We don't even get his redemption figure. It's weird. It's crazy. Meanwhile, going on, Tahu reveals to Gali and Onua that he actually knows what the Kodrex is. They had been there before. All this stuff. That he was the one who led them there before, and it was his fault, and he didn't say anything, but he didn't want to do anything or say anything to bring everyone's bad memories back or whatever. And she's like, no, I mean, you're definitely more of a leader now than you were back then. And even then, it would have been a hard point to be a leader, so I believe in you or whatever. So they're like, okay, well, what do we got to do? It's like, well, we got to put energy into these light stones to kind of pulse at Motunui. We have to do them in specific intervals at increasing intensities to slowly wake him up. And so they're talking about it, and it's like, so we were just doing some calculations on the whole Ignika Mask of Life thing and seeing the color change, and I don't think we're going to have enough time to do it all. And Tahu's like, what if we just put all the energy in one big go? And they're like, that could work. Or it might kill Motunui. He's like, we don't really have any other options right now. They're like, well, where would we even find that amount of energy? And they all just look at the Toa Ignika and like, come on over here, bud. We got to have a talk. And immediately, the Toa Ignika does not take this information very well. They don't have to stop being a Toa and give his energy for this thing, and is pinning Tahu to the wall and just killing him. Just draining the life energy out of him. And Gali is like, no, stop. You have to get off. You're killing him. Like, you wanted to be a Toa, right? Something must have made you want to be a Toa. Why did you become a Toa? And the Toa Ignika has acquired some very, very low level of speech by this point. It's like a really shaky, choppy synthesis. And it thinks for a moment and lays off of Tahu and goes, Matoro. And they go, yes, Matoro, who died a hero to save everyone and put the universe in front of himself. That's why you'd want. What do you think Matoro would do in the same situation? And the Ignika goes, he would agree to do it. And so I will too. I will be a Toa. I will be a hero. So the Ignika has joined on and is going to sacrifice his life to give life back to Motunui. As this is all going on, Icarax is still fighting a bunch of the Makuta, and he's pretty much winning. He's just backhanding everyone. It's just not going well because everyone's kind of want to stay out of his range so he doesn't disintegrate them. And eventually it leads to. I forgot to mention that Gorast's mask is the mask of disruption. By making contact with something, it can disrupt certain abilities or anything about them. So, all of the so I think it's Chirox, Vampra, and I think it might be Bitel and Gorast. I can't remember. They're all ganging up on Icarax, and they go, all right, here we go. And they basically start chiding him and saying that, oh man, the Toa are really getting away with it. They're going to complete the plan. They're going to do it. And Icarax is like, shit. Because if he stays here, he can stay here and fight and defeat and kill all these Makuta. It'll be a good ass time. Or he needs, if he wants his plan to come into fruition and become the leader of the Brotherhood of Makuta, he needs to go down there right now, stop the what's it called? The Toa Nuva. So he immediately goes to use his teleportation abilities. Gorast grabs onto him and goes, now. I think it's Vampira hits him with like a shadow bolt or something. They hit him with some energy. And as he's trying to teleport away, Gorast uses her mask of disruption to disrupt his teleportation, which causes, because the way they define teleportation is all your atoms disassemble and then reassemble at another point. When this happens, it fucks up the teleportation and causes all of his atoms to just scatter across the entire universe. And Icarax is now dead.
Fuck.
Yeah, super fuck. Just completely just rip. Before, as this is going on too, Krika had overheard a little bit ago that about the whole lightning thing, and is coming to the other Makuta. Is like, hey guys, we need to get out of here. We need to get out of here. There's gonna be lightning here. We've been betrayed. Pterodax is gonna kill us all. There's gonna be lightning storms. It's gonna destroy everything. Gorast goes up to him and is like, you're a traitor and you're a liar, and grabs onto him and disrupts Krika's ability to become more intangible until all his atoms just float apart, and kills Krika. And they're like, we have no room for traitors around here.
You said this is the one with the disruption?
Yes.
And what was the name again?
Gorast. This is also the only female Makuta we've seen.
Alright, so Gorast is now killed the best combat Makuta, and which one you said?
Krika, who is probably the closest thing to a good Makuta that has been left. When Makuta Pterodax went and ordered for the death of Miserex, Krika and Spiraya were the ones who were supposed to carry it out. Spiraya backed out at the last minute because he didn't really like the feeling of killing a Makuta face to mask, or mask to mask. And Krika said, okay, I'll do it. And Krika is the one who actually just imprisoned Miserex with the giving them the opportunity to escape if they could ever find out how, but didn't actually go through with it because Krika didn't necessarily think that was right. Krika has been consistently shown through the series to be on the more like gray side of the scale than like the Pit-Tar black side of the scale.
So she's effectively like the best combat Makuta.
More or less. Gorast is
and
also
has killed both of them by scattering their atoms.
more or less through different means, yes, because it just disrupts their abilities. Gorast is also just pure evil and insanity. She's literally just, no, I just like do evil things because I do evil.
She wakes up and chooses them.
Yes, pretty much. Whereas like Bitel is just like, I just summon other versions of me from alternate time points and has them fight together. And Antraz is just like, man, I'm just here for a paycheck. And Chirox is like, I also am also here for a paycheck. And Vampira is also like, I also just believe in the plan and I'm here for the paycheck. But that's also because my mask lets me feed off the light of others. They obviously went with like a vampire bat theme with all the Fantoka Makuta. So anyway, it is at this point that we have a big sky chase between Pohatu, Kopaka, Liwana, and Antraz over getting the last vehicle back. And it's a giant, they're using elemental abilities to try and like throw each other in tailspins and all sorts of stuff. And eventually causes, they set up basically a collision point where all three vehicles are going to collide together because Kopaka has ice walls set up and they're all just going to smash together. Antraz bails out at the last second, and Kopaka pushes the ice walls out a little bit to kind of like curve the other vehicles so they don't smash into each other and they go away. And then he hops in that vehicle. They make their way back to the Codex. Toa goes, and they're all trying to figure out, because they're like, so all the Toa and Uber are back together again. They figure out that that's how they're going to do the thing. And when they do, the lightning storms are going to come, and it's going to destroy everything, but they don't have a way out. And Lewa Nuba is like, so if we fail in our mission, everybody quick dies. But if we succeed in our mission, everybody quick dies. Oh, those great beings and their wacky sense of humor. And Toa was like, wait, no, we can use the vehicles. The vehicles are super, super fast, and they can phase through things. So we'll just do that. And so the Toa all get together. They say their goodbyes to the Toa Ignika. Toa Ignika turns into the Mask of Life and gets put into position and starts vibrating and emitting power and whoa, and they're like, all right, it's time. They can already feel there's electricity and like energy like staticking in the air, and they're like, all right, guys, it's time to go. They all get on the vehicles and they just start gunning it the hell out of there. By this point, but it was actually the Makuta who felt the change first, and they all realized, oh shit, Krika wasn't lying. He was actually trying to help us. He was actually trying to help save all of us, and we killed him because we've been betrayed. Goras loses her goddamn mind and just knees sinks into the mud and goes, wah! Just like, he's like losing her mind. She just can't. She's like, Krika was right. Krika was right. And all the other Makuta are like, all right, last man out. Like everyone out themselves. Bittel, because they're like, hey, Bittel, you can see, and most of us others can't. We don't have a Shadow Matoran. Think you can help us out here? And he's like, no way. It's everyone out for themselves. Fly fast or die, kids. and they're just like, fucking Bittel. And Bittel is just flying as fast as he can, and lightning storms coming. Makuta Neutran is just looking out of his cocoon. He's like, wow, that sure is weird. That's interesting. Man, that's crazy. Those giant... And he goes to inspect this growing storm. He's like, yeah, man, that's a lot of energy. That's a lot of crazy power. Now, if I could figure out how to harness this energy, harness power, it'd be great. You know what? I think I could. That's it. I've got it. I know how to harness power. All I have to do is a giant bolt of red lightning comes out and turns them into dust.
Oh no.
Oh no! The Toa and Uber are just flying by as they're watching all of these Makuta. Just everything is getting vaporized. Rocky, swamps, like just everything is being destroyed as the Toa are just rocketing out as fast as they can from Carta Nui, just phasing through solid materials on these objects, because it's basically one person driving each one person hanging on for dear fucking life. All of them, the Matoran and the all Matoran and the what's it called? The Takanuva have made their way back to Metro Nui. At the same time, the Toa Mari are the three that were still left, that went down south, have made their way back to the city of Metro Nui, which is now under siege by this giant floating island next to them from Destral. It's the Makuta base, and it's at war, so they jump into the battle. Also, Huki and Kongu have been there in the middle of the battle because they got knocked out, and when they awoke, found out that the Order of Matanui had taken over Metro Nui and set it up as a giant defensive fortress, with their goal being to force the Makuta to bring their home base right next to them, since an order was given from Icarax that if anything was to happen at the fortress, to teleport the island directly to Metro Nui, which the Order of Matanui figured out. And basically set it all up for a giant final confrontation. And Kongu and Huki were like, well, I'm not gonna be told that I'm not gonna be told that I have to sit out of a war that involves my city. So they go in, the other Toa Mari all get together again. They're fighting through a bunch of, Dark Hunters and Rakshi and Exo Toa, and they're all destroying everything, and all of a sudden, they feel it. This giant presence in the universe. Matanui is back. Matanui is awake, and all of them, like Makuta's forces, just dissipate. They're just crumbling. It's being destroyed. They have won. The Destiny War is over. The good guys win. Everyone's like, great, awesome, hooray, awesome, great. Everyone meets up back at Metro Nui. Taraga Duma says that we're going to have a great, big ol', we're going to have a big ol' party to celebrate everything. And at the same time, back where everybody's in this weird secret room, Pterodax instantly teleports Brutaka, Axon, Krakua, Miserex, and all out somewhere into the universe. He puts the Toa Haga under a spell that makes them believe, or like a trance, that makes them believe that they actually just went through the whole thing, defeated Makuta, and saved the day, and they just walk out there like nothing happened. And Helrux is the only one left. And Makuta goes, no. He's like, you will stay here. You're trapped here in this room with me now. Because That was Matanui's greatest flaw. He never had someone to confide in and talk with and discuss his day-to-day concerns and worries. And you will be my companion for the rest of time until you either die or I get bored of you. And Helrix vows at that moment she will stay there and she will not break. She will not bend, and she will learn as much as she can to figure out how to defeat Makuta. And this is where we're going to play this, because this is what happens when Matanui finally awakes. Go and play video. If it's still on it.
Come out with like a huge like god dick.
Skip to 130.
It's at 130.
Oh, is it? That's not 130.
It restarted it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Son of a bitch.
We'll just start there. That's fine.
Dive into the darkness. Ignite the flame within. Now there is no turning back. Make the future begin.
I see the head.
Damn, boy. He's
Thick.
thick.
No, he's not.
That's a thick ass
That's
boy.
a big-ass boy.
The Iron Giant. I get it.
I mean, it really is, though.
You guys are ruining my immersion.
Kill all the titans.
I have a hangover and I'm pissed.
Oh man.
And now I'll explain what the fuck just happened there. And it can be summed up as, wait, Matanui is a giant robot? Always has been. That's the big reveal. That's the reveal we've been working 8 years towards, is that the entire Matoran universe is just inside a giant-ass robot being piloted through space. The Matoran basically cells. What do you think they need to go and do all these tasks and do all this maintenance and create a bunch of energy and send it out to other islands and stuff? The Great Cataclysm, Makuta sent out a virus that put the Great Spirit's AI consciousness into a sleep. They crash landed onto a giant planet filled with water.
So his islands are his organs.
So it's all just inside his body. It's just these giant, like these domes with islands all connecting throughout the entirety of it.
Okay, this finally explains how the fuck Cardinui like functions. Like, because you tried to explain how they
It's
first got to
so-
Cardinui. I did
yes.
not understand what the
It's-
fuck you were talking
I
about.
know,
How
and it's really hard.
they got a lower
So this is where
altitude.
And so this is where, in the book, Makuta's Guide to the Matoran Universe, at the very end of the book, we get, for the first time, a picture of what the Matoran Universe actually looks like.
Oh, son of a bitch.
And it shows all the different islands across the entire thing. Matanui, it's like Metronui up here. It's Matanui's brain. That's why it's so important. The thing above it, that's why Matanui was above the sea of Metronui, but not really. There's a thing there. We talk about, you got Voyanui here that floated up because a hole broke out in the Great Spirit robot and caused it to float up to the top. Although, why there was all of a sudden this weird amount of mutagenic water that came in? Because the body was under the ocean and had mutagenic properties and was flooding into the Great Spirit robot.
Jeez.
I mean, it's just all sorts of crazy stuff. I mean, you can pass it around and look at it if you want. That is why they also describe the Cardinui as being the core of the universe, the world that feeds the world. It's described as being almost as big as the universe itself. It's the heart of Metronui, deep in what is essentially the chest cavity of the Great Spirit robot. It's like, the reason why Brutaka comes up and says that they can't destroy all the machinery and everything in that one room, there's effectively the brain, like the main CPU, the main brain part of Metro Nui is because it would destroy the Great Spirit Robot. And the biggest thing of it all is that after all of this, which, once again, nobody in the Matoran universe knows this, except for Brutaka and except for Makuta. They're the only beings who know this now. Makuta, because they still can remember what the original purpose of the Matoran universe and the Great Spirit Robot was. And Brutaka, because he's being he is being possessed by the antidermis being that has given him all this information. And so all the Toa and the Matoran and everybody are in Metro Nui. They're having a big parade. They're having a great festivity and party because they've defeated Makuta. Everyone is saved. Like they're having a celebration, and all of a sudden, the stars in the sky swirl and align into the shape of Makuta Pterodax's mask. And a booming voice is heard throughout the entire universe. Makuta Pterodax has won. Makuta Pterodax has taken over the Great Spirit Robot. He announces that when the Great Spirit Matanui's body awoke, he was in place to push the Great Spirit's mind and spirit out and take over. And has trapped the Great Spirit Matanui into the Mask of Life and ejected it into space. Welcome to the Makutaverse, guys!
Jesus.
Yeah!
This doesn't sound very good for a Matoran game.
Really doesn't sound good from a Matoran game. But yeah, no, this is the big reveal. This is something this is something that they had been working on from year one. This was supposed to be the halfway point. Is this part here. Supposed to be. And we will see why that doesn't exactly go that way. Next time, when we come back for the next time of Bionicle book learning.